And good morning. It is a beautiful day here, 24 degrees out, with a high running up probably into the mid 30s. Yeah, it changed quite a bit yesterday after everything got going here. It was just, the day didn't turn out to be as nice as it should have, but that's all right. I don't mind. When I got up yesterday morning, the temperature was 50 degrees out, and by the time I got home last night, we're down into the 20s. So it wasn't bad, just not what you really expected for a day that started out so nice. But what do you do? So I've been having some stuff going on this in the last few days where my blood glucose has not been where I thought it should be. After I've had my two teeth that were pulled that had infections, and I've got rid of the infections, my blood sugars have dropped a lot, and it's been really different the last week or so with normal blood glucose. Helping my daughter and son-in-law move yesterday, I saw my blood sugars drop tremendously. I'm like down into the 70, and it shouldn't have been that far down. I did check my blood glucose when I got home, and my CGM and my uh, blood were actually matching each other, which is different. They're usually off by a little bit, but they were right on each time I checked it yesterday, and it's just weird. But my ketones weren't as high as I thought they would have been. And that could have just be because I was actually using them. Good morning, John. How are you doing today? So I did buy some ketone IQ, which is just exogenous ketones. It's a shot, and it was developed for the military to keep basically to keep people sharp. Um, yes, when your body's running on ketones, your mind is much more sharp. And I tried that, and that actually helped out quite a bit. I When my blood sugars dropped down into the low 70s yesterday, I could feel it. I knew my ketones weren't up because when I'm fasting and my blood sugars drop and my ketones are up, I feel great. This time I was starting to get a little shaky and a little iffy, and so my wife picked me up some extra food, so I was able to eat. It didn't do a whole lot, and it was just a little different. But so the last 24 hours, my uh, glucose has been just hovering in the 80s and through the upper 70s, and sometimes it just kind of gets worrisome because I'm not used to that anymore. Good morning, Terry. How are you doing today? Crank button. And how are you doing today? I like that. Your thumbnail there on your picture. That's old school stuff there. What movie is that from? Uh, Pinhead's one of the characters in it. I remember that stuff. That was pretty good. Just one can of sardines down, Terry. That's all you managed. Did you eat that yesterday? Or did you eat that today so far? You're you're an hour or 2 hours ahead, right? It's, but even now, last night when we went to our hockey game, and I bring beef sticks with me, and I bring pork rinds with me, so I don't have to snack on the dumb stuff there. And even just sitting there watching the hockey game, my blood sugars dropped down into the low 70s again. So my wife had some popcorn. I tried eating some popcorn, and that didn't even budge my blood sugars. Um, the only thing it's done so far is I'm stuffy today, and again, I can't hear out of my my ear. Let's see, you're doing good. One can of sardines down, and oh no, not this morning. It's 12:30. Yeah, you're a couple hours ahead of us here. That's what I thought. So even with a handful of popcorn, my blood sugars didn't go up. My sinuses are plugged up today, and my hearing in my left ear is got kind of wonky. So I don't know what's going on with that. And good morning to you. But listening to Dr. Kiltz and the guys this morning, they're just rambling on. It's interesting listening to them when they get running and everything that goes on with those guys. Good morning, Bride's Biscuit. Making coffee. I'm enjoying my coffee right now too. I actually got to sleep in a little bit this morning. What am I doing? I'm just doing a live broadcast for anybody that needs help or motivation just to have community for um, zero carb style diet. Sharing experience and hope one day at a time. Hey Benny, good morning. No, it happens, and you know it's part of doing this way of eating is to see what bothers you, and now I know. And I had the same experience the other day when I had the corned beef brisket and sauerkraut. Made a beautiful corned beef brisket on Tuesday, and it was absolutely delicious. Sauerkraut's a fermented food, so it's actually not that bad if it's done right. And the same thing happened to me after that. On Wednesday, when I woke up, I was plugged up and I had fluid behind my ear and I couldn't hardly hear out of my ear. Yeah. And then check this one out. That's a 18-ounce ribeye steak with two brown butter bites. If you don't know what brown butter bites are, you need to Google it or search it on YouTube. There's a bunch of different people have recipes for this here and how to cook it and make them. They're absolutely delicious. It's just butter that's melted down and cooked, and then the milk solids fall to the bottom and they get browned, and then you put them into candy molds. And depending upon the type of the candy mold you have, you can get 1 teaspoon or 2 teaspoons or tablespoons into these molds, and it's absolutely delicious. Melts on top of this here, really good. Adds a lot of flavor to your foods. When those old parts get together, they talk about everything, and as we say here, absolutely they do, and it's fun to watch them sometimes. Actually, I get a kick out of watching them all the time. Oh no, it's quack time. Rick is here. Good morning, Rick. How are you doing today? Yeah, and this is what John says: sharing experience, strength, and hope one day at a time, and that's what we're doing here. Just helping each other out, learning from each other, and giving each other support. So just learning how to cook different things, like and learning how to feel out and heal your body. because there's a lot of different things that happen to your body when you're out there. Uh, there it is. Like I've had issues with my satiety signal. That's the leptin hormone. It hasn't been there for me for very long. I've only been getting that signal since the first part of February, and I've been eating this way for 18 months now. And it just started for me to be able to get to that. Here's the example. The other day, last week, I had this here is about an 18-ounce ribeye, 14 shrimp. I used to eat this all the time. This used to be one of my go-to meals. Never had any issue finishing this. And I was not able to finish that. I got about half of it done and I was full. I was done eating. I didn't want any more. And you've heard people say, well, what do you do with leftovers? I've never had leftovers until now. So what do you do with the leftover? You wait until the next morning and make an omelet out of it. Easiest way to get rid of leftovers. Make it into an omelet. And this is Benny. You're on day 7 of a lion diet. Strange things. My nightly leg cramps disappeared. Then you started having that started having a carnivore. I wonder if it's from eating pork on carnivore. That your cramps disappeared? That could be. It's a saltier, cut of meat, so it could be from that. I know I can go days without drinking electrolytes, but a lot of times it's just I will get leg cramps and cramps in my feet. So it depends upon the body too. Like Rick was saying that he's doesn't use a whole lot of salt, doesn't use much in the meeting this morning, and I think it depends upon the metabolic health of your body. Like me, I my body is not metabolically healthy, and it hasn't been for a long, long time. So I've heard a lot of people who can do the carnivore diet without adding extra salts or drinking electrolytes, but they're all younger people. I'm 59. Rick is older like me. He's in his 50s, but he hasn't been eating the standard American diet all of his life like we have. So his body's way more metabolically healthy than mine. Getting ready to weld some sheet metal. Oh, that's always fun. I've never gotten into welding. I've tried it a few times. I don't have the patience for it. I don't have the ability to get that nice bead going and run stuff like that. It's just I've never been able to do that. Hey Donna Ray, how are you doing this morning? Oh, you're talking about the food, the like this. I set it up that way. I've got pictures from when I first started doing this here, and I first got these cutting boards. They've got the cups that go into the slots there in the top, so I can fill them full of butter, dunk my steak and my shrimp into them. I don't use them as much as I should, but they're actually pretty nice. I picked up 2 of these on Amazon. They're absolutely amazing. The knife and fork that come with it that match it and go into the slots, they're actually pretty nice. I don't care for the knife. I like this one here. This is my Pit Boss steak knife. This thing is sharp. It is so nice. It's always good to meet new people. It is. It's nice having new people come in, hang out, get involved in the conversations. Bride's Music says hormone signaling is fascinating to him. Yep. You see the spectrum between us, both how we have opposite dysfunction, also how pleasure reward pathway overlaps in addiction. Yes, and that's one of my addictions still is my coffee. I did stop it for 9 months, and I started up again because I make coffee in the office for anybody that works in there. My boss is a big coffee drinker. The guys that work for me are big coffee drinkers, and I just got in the habit of making the coffee because my desk is close to the coffee pot because that's where I wanted it. But I started drinking coffee again after 9 months, and man, is it hard to put it back down again. And Rick says that he hardly ever uses salt, and that's a lot of people can get away with it. I don't have the electrolytes. I have a hard time. Salt definitely depends on metabolic health. Bella famously does better on no added salt. Right. And there's other people too. One of the guys I follow on Twitter, he's a younger guy, and he doesn't use any salt. But the difference here is he's young. He's not an older guy. He hasn't been poisoned by our standard American diet for 50 years, and trying to get healthy again. I do need the salt. I need a lot of it. I don't have my pants still in my room. I have the Redmond's real salt, the pocket shakers, and I've recently measured out that holds 7 grams of salt, and I use one of those a day on my foods and my drink, and sometimes I just put it on my tongue. If I'm at work doing OMAD and I feel like I'm hungry, I put salt on my tongue. It works. But I couldn't imagine doing this without salt. Some of the cramps that I've had in my legs and my feet, extremely painful. I don't wish that on anybody. Benny says, me at 57 and having to drink electrolyte and salt in my food like mad. Yeah. See, I drink coffee, but I drink Element. This one here is the citrus salt. I drink those once in a while in the cans because I actually like the way the flavor sparkling water in it. But generally, I drink the raw, and I usually have a big tumbler in here, insulated cup that I drink the Element from. And I've tried a couple other brands of the salts too, and I think I've done better on the Element than on the other ones that I've tried. So, but electrolytes are important for those of us who are not metabolically healthy and have to have salt. Trying to replace rust holes on your truck. Yeah, it's better to do some welding on that than try and using Bondo or fiberglass. That stuff sucks. Driving home from a beef haul, Donna Ray went shopping. You got some good deals, Donna Ray? All right, so we got one of these fun people in here. So we can just put that one in timeout, and we don't have to worry about that. They use Redmond's kosher sea salt, Molden depending upon the dish, magnesium at night for sleep, potassium you get from your meat. Yeah, I like the Redmonds and I have the Molden's flaky salt. I like that. I also have the Redmond's smoked salts. I don't use those as much, and I actually think I gave one of them away to one of my daughters. But I've tried them, and they're not bad. I prefer just the regular Redmond's salt. So Terry says You have coffee and you put your collagen in it and only one drop of cream. I don't ever use. I've tried putting cream in it. I just never really got into cream in my coffees. So that's a good thing for me. Lions don't use salt either, so lion diet a bit confusing. Yeah, basically, if you're gonna do the lion diet and you're just eating the ruminant meats or a basic lion diet, most of us who are not healthy have to have that salt in there to because we're flushing out all everything in our bodies after when we do that. And I had some extremely painful cramps in my feet. That was just bad. Plus, lions will drink the milk of their kills. Yep. And well, they get the salt from the blood too. Lions have been saw at salt licks, but that's to hunt gazelles to gather there. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. They can be so much fun sometimes. That's you put these out there and people just troll lives just to be jerks. But you put them in time all at once, they probably don't ever come back. You want to try the smoke version? You don't get much smoked foods in New York City. The smoked Redmond's salts aren't bad. I got there's three different ones, and I've tried them. They're not. I don't know. They're different and they're a little coarser than the regular salt too. Yeah, we when we're healing, our salt requirement's tremendously different. Um, then there's a couple of guys on X that I follow that talk about that they don't use salt and they don't recommend it, but they haven't been as metabolically unhealthy as I have been, or or yourself, or a lot of us in here right now. It's terrible when the one foot cramp I used to get, and I had one about a week ago. It feels like the muscle in my foot that goes from my heel to the ball of my foot gets flopped around and twisted, and I got to put weight on my heel and the side of my foot and then pop it back over. Oh, it's extremely painful. It's just not something I wish on anybody. Terry says I cut the cream for a long time, but it crept in somehow. You'll drop it again as soon as you don't buy it. Yeah, and that's, but even cream, it's got a little bit in there. How bad is it for you? It depends upon you and how much you use. If it affects you, the more it affects you, the less you should have. I know I'm going to be making some ice cream today. My wife did pick up some heavy cream, so we're going to do that. And I have the fudge keto brick. It's in the fridge right now, and I'll cut off a thin slice of it, chunk it up, and I'm going to throw it in there so my wife has some chocolate ice cream. Laugh out loud, trolls. All entertainment, no triggering here. Yeah, it's just weird watching them sometimes. I know I had one in yesterday too that it was what they put in here, and if you tried to read it out loud the way it sounds when you read it, it doesn't look that way when it's written. But yeah, I read it a couple times before I read it to myself a couple times. I started reading and I stopped and was like, nope, I know what that's gonna be. Yeah, you can't even taste the smoke in the moldens. You have to use a lot of it to be able to taste it. If you just put it on your hand and taste it, you can taste a little bit of the smoke. But in the on your when you're putting it on your meat or your eggs, It really doesn't have that flavor. And talking with Larry, oh my, I did this yesterday. That one from the studio. Larry has a Dropbox so you can send him pictures, and he asked for pictures of what we're eating and stuff like that for the meeting. He puts it on the screen. And I sat there as I was going to take a picture of what I had for breakfast yesterday and send it to him. And then when he mentioned that, I looked at my phone. I'm like, damn it, I forgot the picture again. So I sent him this because this is what happens. I forget to take pictures of what I eat. Like yesterday, this was my breakfast: 4 eggs and 8 pieces of bacon. Well, guess what I did today? I had 4 eggs and 4 pieces of sausage, and I finished it. And I looked down, and I'm like, I did it again. I couldn't show that, but you know what? That's all right. I don't mind. You only do one coffee in the early morning. How big is that coffee, Terry? Because I could say the same thing. I only do one coffee in the morning. That's not true. I'll have 4 cups of this in the morning, and that's actually one full pot of coffee. Brisbane says he'd get visible muscle knots when you're in adaptation. You cried out loud every night. It passed completely. See, mine still hasn't. There are times where I'll eat and I won't have a lot of salt on my foods. I won't have my electrolyte drinks. And sometimes I get really, I don't know how to say it. I kind of know before I go to bed that I'm going to be cramping, and there's just nothing I'm going to be able to do about it. There are nights where right before I go to bed, I'll make an element and I'll drink an element right before I go to bed, and I'll still cramp. It's just I've gone too long without it, and I can start to feel it. It just sucks. Hey, good morning, Aaron. How are you doing this morning? You never got the notification? Yeah. Well, I was actually watching Dr. Kiltz this morning. I got right on as he went live this morning, and it was about 20 minutes into his live broadcast before my notification came up saying that he was live. A lot of times I don't even get notifications for people that are doing lives. It's just crazy. You honestly feel bad for them much of the time. You read it as a cry for help while you're talking about the trolls. Yeah. Or they're just young and they don't know better yet. They're just, they got a lot of learning to do. Yeah, I got to do some running around this morning. You guarantee if you spent time talking to them in a room, we would connect to a degree and could help them. Absolutely. And that's part of what this is for. When you put them on timeout, they can still see the broadcast. They can still listen. They just can't post anything because they've been jerks. I don't mind. I did block John Studd. That guy is just a troll, and I was tired of looking at him. And I see him in different chats and stuff. Last weekend he just went far enough that I had enough of him. You do 3-4 large copies a day, over half a century, no negative effect yet. See, the negative effect I did have is I quit coffee and I quit drinking alcohol on the same day. I went for 9 months without coffee. My tinnitus went away. I had no more ringing in my ears. And I don't know if it was from the coffee or everything else, but when I brought coffee back in, my tinnitus came back. If I cut my coffee intake down to half of what I'm doing, my tinnitus goes almost all the way away. I haven't had the luck of going 21 days on a fast like Larry to eliminate my tinnitus, but maybe one of these days I'll go that long. See if that works. A full power gets you climbing the walls. Yeah, I'm kind of used to it though. I've always drank coffee since I can remember, and I prefer to drink good quality coffee now. Yeah, this used to be my favorite brand. That brand does hurt me, so I can't drink this anymore. But I do drink a coffee from Papua New Guinea, and it's really nice. I also have an organic variety from Peru that I drink that's really nice, and they don't hurt. So I can drink a pot of coffee and I don't have issues. The only issue I have is when I'm talking a lot like this and I drink coffee, my nose will start to run. It just gets moisture and condensation in it. Yeah, well, being addicted to coffee for me is better than being addicted to the sugar because the giving up that sugar was a hard thing to do. And it had a lot more negative effects to my body than the coffee is right now. So this is me as a sugar addict. 347 pounds, almost 350 pounds. I was probably heavier at any time, at some time in that period where I was big like this. I was probably over 350 easily. And this is what sugar, seed oils, carbohydrates did to me. And I could starve myself and cut down to like 1,800 calories, and I wouldn't lose any weight. So, just a year, 2 years ago, in March of 2024, this is me at a hockey game in the Twin Cities. That Vegas Golden Knights jersey is a 3XL, and that thing is huge. That was me just 2 years ago. And where's it at? Here's me from last month. Big difference. That's a size large, and yeah, it's not tight on me in any way. It's a lot better. So I'd rather have my coffee addiction. And Bryce says I might be getting oxalate dumping now after 16 months on carnivore. Strange skin eruptions. Yeah, they dissipate fairly quickly though. Cramping, however, has now returned. My wife is actually experiencing the same thing, Bryce Biscuit, and she's been getting it in her arms and it's on her shoulder, that she shoulder neck area where she's getting what I think is looks like is oxalate dumping too. And it'll bother her for a couple of days and it'll go away and then it comes back and it bothers her again. And I get those only when I do an extended fast. Uh, any fast I do over like 72 hours, it seems like I'll start dumping oxalates out of it and I'll get some weird, like you're saying, skin eruptions that just don't make sense while I'm fasting. And it only seems to happen while I fast. Aaron says he normally gets, oh, you normally get my notifications. Your daughter needs new softball pants. So Dick's has hers at 20% off this weekend. It's a good time to go buy them then. Sports for kids can be expensive nowadays. Bryce Biss find the good in everyone. We were all in a dark place at various times in our lives. That is true. You might attempt to see if caffeine affects my tinnitus or your tinnitus at the end of your healing journey. Yeah, right now I know that popcorn and sauerkraut affects my sinuses and my hearing. And I got a weird thing going on in my ears right now. You love Papua New Guinea and Peru, Sumatra. Yeah. The Papua New Guinea coffee I get is from Dunn Brothers. It's the Papua New Guinea Western Highlands. And it's actually a really good coffee. I've drank that for a long time. And I found that that one doesn't bother me, doesn't give me any issues with pain. If I find something that causes me pain, I stop doing it. The coffee from Peru I found on the Gascent Press. That's the older guy, Jason, that goes around different places with his camera and just stands outside, and people come up to him. They'll either talk to him and have a good rapport with him, or they'll be jerks, and then he gives it right back to them. And they'll end up calling the police on him and all kinds of weird things. Well, he was in a small town in Arizona doing this, and he went into a coffee shop there, Gio's, GIO's, GIO, apostrophe S, coffee shop. And she's from Peru. She gets the beans from Peru and she roasts them there and does all that right there. And he had a link to her coffee shop. And I was like, you know what? She was great. She did a good, really nice interview with him and everything. So I bought coffee from her. It's actually really good too. See, Benny says when I first started carnivore, I took up drinking coffee, and I quickly learned that coffee tore my stomach, especially on an empty stomach. Yeah, and it will, and it depends upon what coffee it is too, Benny. And that's why, like Folgers coffee, that I'm a coffee drinker. I can't drink Folgers. That tears my stomach up. The Papua New Guinea coffee I'm drinking right now, and the Peru coffee, they don't have any issue with me like that. Yes, Maxwell House and Folgers and stuff like that. I can't have any of those. They just tear me up bad. You broke down after 4 days and had to put a little cream in your coffee. Ah, Aaron, it's all right, man. And you went 4 days. See if you can go for 6 days now. There's no reason not to jump right back on it. Give it a shot. You missed hockey. Your last game you went to was a 1983 playoff watching the Islanders. Well, the our team only has two more home games, and that's over Easter weekend. And then we didn't make the playoffs this year. They had a rough go of it this year. They had a new head coach. Things didn't go as well as they expected, and the old head coach took back over, but it was over halfway through the season, so he didn't have the time that he needed with the guys to turn them around. But they still had a good season. It's fun watching them. Interesting. You bet fasting triggered autophagy. Might give that a might give that a response. And probably part of the healing though, yeah. It's fasting for me, fasting seems to increase my healing tremendously. It helps out so much. I and I feel so good when I'm doing a fast. When you're 48 to 2 days into it to 7 days into it, I just feel really good and my body is really good. I do have to make sure I take enough electrolytes in that time because if I don't, then that's where you get a little dizzy, lightheaded, get off balance. Bride started drinking coffee. He was 7. Part of the culture you grew up in. You adapted. You suppose similar to Rick is adapted to carnivore. Yeah, you're adapted to coffee is part of your lifestyle. And it's always been there. Oh, you just got home with sleet and snow this morning? We had, well, yesterday when I woke up, I was saying that the temperature when I woke up yesterday was 50 degrees out. By the time I got home after the hockey game, it was 28 degrees. and there was no snow on the ground yesterday, and now our ground is white again. Now I like the snow myself, but a lot of people don't. You enjoy hockey, but your team isn't doing very good since a lot of guys have been traded out. What team do you go for, Terry? The last time you watched hockey was Patrick Norris, Smythe, and Division. Yeah, they've changed the names a few times. Yeah, you do maintain your muscle mass while fasting. It's one of the things that people don't understand is that when you're fasting, and Dr. Kiltz talks about that too, you don't you don't eat your muscle. You might eat the fat in between the muscle is what your body is using. But a 7 day fast, you're not getting to that point where you do that. People do fast for 30, 40 days, 40 days for religious purposes and stuff, and where they just consume water. And it's not a bad thing. You don't metabolize your muscle. To get to that point, it takes a long time to get there. One of the longest fasts that's been recorded was over a year, and that was by a gentleman that started out at over 400 pounds under medical supervision, and he fasted for over a year to get down to his ideal body weight. So, doing shorter fasts, like up to 72 hours, 48, 7 days, they're not bad for your body. And you get a lot of good healing. What your body does is the cells that are bad, it consumes them, it recycles them so that your body can heal and you can get out of different difficulties that your body's having. There's different resets. Um, like up to 48 to 72 hours, your metabolism starts to reset, your immunity resets so that you get better health. And now a bunch of that is based off of people on a carbohydrate diet. But if you're on carnivore and you have ketones being produced before you ever start a diet or a fast, I do believe that those resets hit sooner because of your uh, ketones already being in your system. But fasting is actually really good for you. Dr. Jason Fung has some great information on fasting. Dr. Boz. Um, I watch a guy on YouTube. Now he's more on the Patron because YouTube screwed him over. Jerome at Finally Fasting is his YouTube channel, but he's got a Patron where you can go there and you can watch his stuff now. YouTube decided to uh, stop his monetization because they didn't agree with his fasting and how he promotes fasting for healing and for health. It goes against their policies or whatever. YouTube kind of sucks sometimes. But fasting is actually really good for the body. Bryce says that he's done with winter. Hey, Shellbell, good morning. It's good to see you here in lower 80s in Kentucky. Yeah, well, it's still 24 degrees here. Yeah, it's beautiful. You got 30 to 50 centimeters coming tomorrow into Tuesday. Oh, yeah. And you like the Canadians, the Habs. I got you. See, now I'm a jerk when it comes to the hockey because I root against the Canadian teams just because I can. I work with Canadians, so I have meetings with them and I give them a hard time. But some of them are Oilers fans and Jets fans, so that's a little bit different than the Habs. Although, yeah, one of the guys is a Habs fan, and I don't give him such a hard time, but I do the guys that are the Oilers and the Jets. Gluconeogenesis for protein only occurs as a last resort and it's very energy intensive. Yeah. And that's you have to be really starving yourself to get to that point where your body will start using its muscle for energy. Good morning, Brian. How are you doing today? It's nice seeing you here this morning. Yeah, well, fasting, the growth hormone kick in to protect the muscles, and that's what it does. You get a lot of healing that happens when you fast. I was fasting when I had this tooth pulled out and this one, and I seem to my healing actually seems to be going really well with those. Much better than what I normally do when I have dental work. And I don't like dental work, and I had very little pain, very little issues with it. Patrick Roy was the last Canadian you saw play. It's been a few days since you watched hockey. How long ago did Roy play? I don't even know. We had our energy weekend, is what they call it, and so we got North Dakota's known for having our oil wells out here, so energy companies, oil companies that deal with that were the sponsors of the weekend. They gave away free shirts for the first like 2,000 people that showed up and stuff. So it was actually a good weekend. We had a lot of fun. Uh, had grandkids with us on Saturday night. Friday night it was just my wife and I, and she actually was she missed the first period because she had to go do stuff with one of our grandkids. Oh, back in 2003. Yeah, I've watched hockey for a long time, but I really didn't get into watching a lot of hockey until like 2015, 2016. That one was something around there where I started watching a lot more hockey. Our local hockey team here started in 2011. We missed, we went to maybe one, maybe two games during our inaugural season, and then we'd go to a few games here and there every year. But it hasn't been the last 10 years that we've been to just about every one of their games. And then watching the NHL for me became more interesting to me back when people were taking a knee in the NFL. I stopped watching that and I started watching hockey because they generally don't allow that in there. They show more respect to their countries and they don't take the knee. And I put them in the Hall of Fame in 2006. You know about autophagy? You already learned. You're ah yeah, it's one of those mornings. I'm already at lean muscle deficit because I'm a super morbidity obese person. So I was just fearful of muscle wasting. So I would do sardine fast on carnivore. And the sardine fasts aren't bad either. Doing How long have you been on carnivore? You said you've been doing the lion diet here for just a week or so, right? Or what was it? Oh, you've been on lion diet for 7 days, but how long have you been on carnivore, Benny? So a year and a month. Yeah. So you've been on carnivore long enough. You're fat adapted. Doing a regular water fast shouldn't be an issue for you, and you're not going to lose a lot. Now, will your body lose muscle? Your body will lose muscle as you don't use it. You won't lose it because you're fasting. Like John was saying, your body, when you get to a certain point, starts kicking in and making growth hormones. So it protects your body, and it's actually really good for you. Some of the stuff that you get from fasting, you won't find it doing anything other than fasting. And you can really learn a lot about your body when you start fasting. Did you ever, since you've been on carnivore for over a year, you had any of the really vivid dreams when fasting and my ketones are really high? I get some really weird vivid dreams, and it's different. So John says he's going to be ending making videos on Together Strong, going to focus on more video creations and opening up a separate channel. Well, you'll have to let us know what your channel is, John, because I will support your channel. Uh, I like your music videos. I really do. I think they're great. They tell a great story, and that's what music is supposed to do. It's supposed to tell a story. Brian says one of my favorite cups is Black Rifle Hand Grenade. It's hot. Yeah, Black Rifle coffee is good. I like the flavor of their coffees, but when I drank their coffee after not having it for a long time, I get pain in the heel of my foot from coffee. It's very distinct, and it happens within hours of drinking the Black Rifle coffee. I don't know what's in it, what process they use, or something that they have in there that affects me to that point. But I do have that issue, so I don't drink that anymore. Brad says that hockey is the only professional sport he ever followed, although you did get to see some Yankee games in the 70s. Highlight was watching Reggie Jackson hit home runs. You know, when I lived in Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and I worked for a company there, they were a sponsor of both the Twins and the Vikings. So we got free tickets every now and then to go to those games. In general, I didn't follow baseball at all. But you know, when you get free tickets to a game and you can go, I'd rather watch baseball in person than on TV. On TV, it's so boring. Watching it in person, that's a different story. You can actually get into it. And then the St. Paul Saints, their minor league team that they had in the Twin Cities, they were even more fun than watching the Twins. And the Vikings, yeah, well, you know, that's football, and the Vikings suck. Just saying. As long as you have fat on your body, you're gonna lose. You're not gonna lose muscle. That is true. Um, Even people that have a low percentage of body fat can fast as long as they have body fat. You're starting to see some new gains after 16 months on carnivore. Healing can take some time, and it does. And healing takes a long time. You have to think, how long have we been metabolically unhealthy? And for a lot of us, it's been a long time. Now, I started gaining weight back in the 1990s, mid to late 90s is when I started gaining weight. By 2000, I was really heavy again. And for the last 26 years, I've been struggling to get to a decent body weight and keep it there and keep my body healthy. Yep. Bridesmaid says, Truth, John, that is much more efficient and available energy source if you have any degree of adiposity. Terry saying hi to Shell Bell. Brian, your connection to your church had you traveling to the Twin Cities a lot in the 80s. You did get to watch some Twins games live. Yeah. The live games are so much better. Not that you know of. I know that when you were eating sad, you were restricting calories. You definitely had crazy dreams and can't count how many times you woke up trying to take a bite out of an apple. Yeah. I've had them when my ketones are high, when I've been fasting, I've had some very vivid dreams. But even when I wasn't fasting and I was just eating a carnivore diet after I was fat adapted, I've had some really vivid dreams. The channel mainly focuses more on video creations and other creators. Yep. Let's see, on day 2 of a sardine fast only for Brian and Terry, only 2 cans. Ongoing and trying to get 3 in today, just not hungry. Your wife was trying to kill me yesterday. She put a roast on and just laughed at me. Yeah, that's kind of mean when they do that to you, isn't it? Let's see. Rick says my height has been stable or your weight has been stable for most of your life. Yeah, I wish mine had been. Well, if mine had been, I probably wouldn't have found carnivore because my weight affected my blood pressure, and I knew that. So I tried doing different things to lose weight so I could lower my blood pressure. And I finally found carnivore because I was tired of taking pills and looking for something. And Bryce says healing does take longer than we'd like, but it does happen if we're doing good work to heal. And that's part of what this lifestyle does is it gives your body what it needs so it can heal. 100% agree. Going to a ball game versus TV, yeah, it's so much nicer. And it doesn't really matter what sport it is, I guess. The live versions always seem to be more interesting, more fun. Poor Brian having to smell that roast while doing a sardine fast. John says, I love the fact that after a fast, stem cells start rebuilding the body in a healthier form. Absolutely. And the stem cell repairing, and that's what I was hoping for when I did my fast for when my teeth were being pulled, was I was hoping that the stem cells would help to repair and heal my body faster so that I didn't have to go through the pain and deal with all the discomfort and crap that normally happens when you have dental work. You almost forgot. It's been 30 years, but you're finally back in the 100s club. Awesome, Bryce Biscuit. Sharing it for the first, but sharing here first, but scale read 199 today. Congratulations. Welcome to Wonderland. That is an amazing accomplishment after so many years, Bryce Biscuit. Very happy for you. Yeah, Rick is very lucky that he didn't have to go through all this stuff and he stayed healthy by trying not to be healthy. April 1st is coming quick. That's when you start a 20-day fast. Yep. That is coming up pretty quick, isn't it? That's just, what do we got? What is today? Oh, yeah. Today's the 22nd, so it's not that many days away. Benny says, congrats, Bryce Biscuit. You used to drink the Murdered Out? Yeah, Black Rifle Murdered Out is actually pretty good. I like the Just Black, but it's too expensive now, and you went to a medium roast. Crazy. Yeah, my foot just, I don't know how to describe it, Ed. And it only happens at night. In the middle of the night, I wake up and it's excruciating. One of these times, I'm going to have to grab my camera and turn it on and video because it's got to look weird. I've never seen that in the light. You never realized it until recently that how lucky you are to be healthy and to have started this way of eating to get back at the world and become a healthier person. And that's you cussing at you, Brian. Yeah. Down 76 pounds, brides on carnivore. Went from morbidly obese to overweight in those 16 months. And that is absolutely amazing, Bride's Biscuit. It's so nice to see that everything is coming down and it's working for you, just as it should. And it does take time, but it happens. Terry says, that's awesome. Angie's, how are you? I am having a great Sunday. Last night, after your 48-hour fast and working hard outside all day, you had some kraut juice to break the fast. About 2 hours later, you ate 2 burger patties and steak. That's awesome. So how'd you feel after your 48-hour fast, Angie's? That's really cool. But you had kraut juice to break your fast? I had some sauerkraut the other day and it didn't do good for me. I didn't drink the juice. That might be something different. See, and John says that he started at 365 pounds. He's now at 190, 12 years keto, 1 year carnivore, reversed type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, heart disease after a 5X bypass, no glasses needed anymore, mental clarity improving every day. And that's what this diet does. That's what this lifestyle does. You're welcome, Bride's Biscuit. And this community, truly this community was essential in reaching your goals. And it is. And that's why I enjoy being in the lives, talking to people in the lives, in the chats and stuff. And then I started doing this on the weekends because there weren't a whole lot of people doing something like this in the weekends on the mornings. And it just this whole way of what it does, so many different things to your body. And it clears your mind and it helps your mind so much. I'm an introvert. I've done the Myers-Briggs type testing. I'm an ISTP/E. Last time I did the testing, my introvert extrovert portion of it, I am exactly right on the line. So depends upon one question answer whether I like people or not, at how I feel about people at the time. It'll change me from being an introvert to an extrovert. Everything else is on there is really solid and what it's supposed to be, but my introvert extrovert, right on the line. I'd have never done this year before starting carnivore. I'd have never gotten in front of a camera and talked on a mic to people in a live. That's just craziness. But here I am. And you said it's incredible. It is. It's incredible to watch somebody go from 367 pounds to 190. That's a tremendous. He's losing a whole person. And look at people like Bill Knott or even Brian, who started out 700 pounds, and Bill Knott's down 370 pounds now. He's getting close to his body weight. You know, Brian's lost a tremendous amount of weight too. John is saying during the fast, stem cells are produced. Once you start to refeed, that's when the stem cells kick in, and it helps tremendously. And your body does so good with that. And seeing Brian here, he has a tremendous story about healing also. He started out with 700 pounds and he's lost an incredible amount of weight too. Brisby says, John, the mental health healing you experience is far and away the most transformative. You were basically bedridden, functionally disabled since 2013. Now you're off of all 18 at one point mental health meds. That is amazing, Bride's Biscuit. Brian says, you want to add some sauerkraut, pickles, and kimchi back in. You have misfermenting. Going to see how that works. And I've had pickles every now and then. Not fermented pickles, but just regular pickles. Pickles don't seem to bother me that much. Now, I did have sauerkraut the other day, and that has not been good to me. Kimchi. I don't know if kimchi would be any better. I love spicy kimchi. If you can handle the smell of kimchi, it is an amazing food. Angie says, I feel great. Trying to heal my gut with some fermented foods and meat, plus fasting, and it seems to be really working. And no food noise or crashes. Thanks for being here on this morning. That's it's stuff like that that I why I do this. People sharing what's helped them will help other people. So it's just amazing when people can hear how this has helped them, and other people can see it and say, "Hey, maybe if I try it, it might work for me." Bridesmaid says, "John, you are true inspiration and healing success story. You never get tired of hearing about it. God bless." Absolutely. Mental health issues. Once the ketone levels rise and insulin levels go down, a lot of times the gluten heals. A lot of times, the gut. I'm not sure. You got it mixed up here, but your body does heal and clarity gets better. It really does. Let's see, Brian, those three plants foods plus coffee are the only one you eat that aren't strict carnivore, and you feel great. And it's everybody has their end of one, and what works for you might not work for somebody else, but you're not going to find out until you try it. You do a strict elimination diet to start with, and then add stuff back in and see what affects you. Benny said, "That's awesome, Bryce Biscuit. I thought it was cleared in my depression, but it still lingers, but obviously not like it was, or you wouldn't be interacting with you fine people." Yes, and that's part of the healing, and it does take time. Shell Bell says, definitely has all, definitely has us all doing things we just wouldn't on a normal. Absolutely. Change everything about you and all the positives, right? It just makes such a big difference in your mental clarity and just your mood and everything. A lot of things change and a lot of things go on. John, you're an introvert, but you're also stoic. But you also, yeah, I get that. Bryce, it's been many decades since you felt this way, just mentally. You literally forgot what it feels like. So surreal still. It is. It's amazing when your body gets right. And Terry says she wanted to add fermented foods for gut healing. See, and I don't think my gut was actually bad. I growing up, the way we ate in our family, I've got a gut of steel. I can eat just about anything, and it doesn't have like I don't think I've ever really had food poisoning because of the way that we ate growing up. We grew up poor. There's a lot of times my mom and dad wasn't that long ago uh, admitted that we used to eat a lot of rabbit, and yeah, we knew that. We knew that as kids that we weren't eating chicken. They always called it chicken, but we knew it wasn't chicken. But you know, it worked. It was meat, and it fed us. John Benny says exactly, John. Some you don't intend to be stoic. It just is. Shellbell, you did have sauerkraut on St. Patrick's Day, but yours was homemade and was happy that your body did well. See, mine wasn't homemade. Mine didn't do very well. What's up? That's my boy. How you doing, Luke? Yeah, you must have heard me saying that the Vikings suck, huh? Oh, you're learning about Stoicism just now. You find it interesting. Also studied Carl Jung, and I'm fascinated by all aspects of mental health and philosophy. That's great to John. You still think your weight is hormonal, so no matter what you do, don't sort out your hormones. You won't see much of a difference. And that's, I believe you are right, Terry. So much of our weight and our mental health issues are hormone related. And that's part of what this the carnivore lifestyle does is it helps to reset those. And depending upon how long it's been that you've been out of whack, it takes time to get to that healing part. And like for me, the leptin hormone, it took me 16 months to get that signal back to tell me that I was full. And it takes time. Your body's been broke for how long? And it's going to take time to heal. And then as a woman going through the different issues that women have more hormones than men that you have to deal with. It takes a lot of time. Yes, Bell. I've got the vertical and the regular channel, and you're on the vertical channel right now. So that's why you're not seeing the comments. But I can do this. I can put it right here. That way you can see what people are saying too. I forget to do that. Sometimes that drives me nuts having it on the screen. Bryce Busa says I have severe social anxiety. You don't use your name, go on camera, or travel except for doctor and occasional church just this year. But the worst diagnoses are in remission. Yeah. And it'd be great to see Bryce Biscuit get out there and share his journey so more people who are going through what Bride's Biscuit has healed from can see it and they can heal also. But that's if he ever does it. Some people won't, and that's fine too. But sharing your information and here and chatting with people is just as well. That's the way we ate growing up, huh, Bell? Whatever was available, that's what we ate. Rasbia says, I no longer need antipsychotics, depression, anxiety, meds, or mood stabilizers. But you work twice weekly in cognitive behavioral therapy and psychotherapy. Yeah. And it's working. And I think a big portion of that is because of the way you're eating, you're getting your hormones correct. The cholesterol that they're blaming for health issues, it's the lack of cholesterol that's causing health issues. It's the lack of fat in your bodies that's causing health issues. Not medical advice. I'm just saying this is what I've discovered and what I have seen for myself. And so many people, the lack of salt, the things that your body needs to function properly, it's what we've been taught for the last 50, 60, 70 years to avoid. Yeah, you ate rabbit growing up too. You know, and when I was in the military, our dining facility in Germany served rabbit. And I was always excited whenever they had rabbit on the menu. It's not bad. Bryce says Terry Hashimoto's, as a Hashimoto sufferer, you can tell that hormones play a dominant role in what the body does. Yep. Bryce says we persist as a species for 2 million years. It's modern interventions and practices in the last 10,000 years that have messed it all up. We're living in poorer health because of it. Absolutely. Let's see. Terry says you can change your TV and phone on the other so you don't have to put that chat up. Oh, no, It's all right. There's other people around there too. They're chatting at times too, so I don't mind doing it. Um, John says he also followed great philosophers, Marcus, Young, etc. And Benny says so true, but love of carbs made the lie so easy to swallow. Did it not? You know, so many people, and when it comes from somebody in a position of authority that's telling you that this is what you should eat, that's what makes it easier for them to do that. The idea of shadow self, you watched in real time in our society, and we interact and view ourselves. And it's how that stuff happens. Going back to this here, the love of carbs, it's when the USDA came out in 1977 with the food pyramid. The USDA is a official organization. It was an advertising campaign, but people took that as a scientific fact that that's what you had to eat, and it wasn't. And that's what really, really hurt so many people, was that belief that that's what it was. And then when uh, I lost his name, came out with a study, the 7-country study, and lied about what caused heart disease, being saturated fats. It's just terrible. Let's see, Brian says Carnivore has helped with brain fog, anxiety, and PTSD. They're still there, but better than they were. Yep. Bryce says I was told I had Hashimoto's by an endocrinologist. Then my doctor said I don't know who to believe, so now I'm going to see a hormone specialist. Doctors can't practice medicine if no one is sick, right? Absolutely, Angie. You refuse to be the woman who swallowed the fly. We don't have healthcare, we have sick care. Their business model doesn't work if we're healthy. They have no incentive to get us healthy. They have an incentive to medicate us and put us into a coma and stuck on medicine. Yes, Ansel Keys, that jerk. He hid so much information, lied so much about all that stuff. Bryce said that's still a hardcore carb addict. You can't moderate. Abstinence is the only way for you personally. Noise still there at times, but slowly fading. You already accepted it might never fully fade. Yeah. And for some people, it's actually really bad. My finger had a twitch. And Raspberry says, Terry, there is a simple definitive test for Hashimoto's. It's an antibody panel, ATG and TPO. If you have these antibodies, it's a textbook definition of Hashimoto's. Correct. Yes. And after all, it's an autoimmune disease, and those are autoimmune antibodies. Correct. And there's a lot of the autoimmune diseases are caused by our diet too. So correcting our diet can help in alleviating a lot of the issues that people are having. So many of these are caused by hormones, and eating the proper fatty diet helps with those hormones. And that's just what we have to do. Sharing information here on a live stream like this helps. Going into Carnivore Quest with Larry and Cassie, watching them, listening to them. Yes, my heart goes out to Larry and Cassie. They have struggled so much for people that help so many. And it's so sad to see that they have to struggle. I've learned so much from Larry and his struggle. I've learned so much from the people in the community there, and it's what they're doing is such a great benefit to everybody. And I hate when trolls come in there like that John guy stud. He's such a jerk. There's no reason for people to be like that. Larry and Cassie are trying to help people. I've learned that I can't trust myself to go out and enjoy a nice meal because I'd have done the same thing that Larry and Cassie have done if I hadn't learned from them. I won't go out to a restaurant and eat that. I won't take a full day of off from eating my way of eating. I go out to eat, but I still will only eat what I have. The other day when I had the sauerkraut, I knew exactly how much I was going to have, and that's what I stuck to. But I knew how much I was going to have. When we did this over Christmas, my wife and I set a time frame, and I stuck to it because I've seen what happens when it doesn't work. Yes, I can. You want to see this again? The ATG and the TPO for the antibodies for the Hashimoto's. And this isn't medical advice. This is just sharing information on what people have experienced and what they have learned. So we're not doctors, we're not medical, but I can put that up there so you can take a look at that, Terry. And as you said, you think fasting helps you most with not having food noise? And I agree, Angie. That's for me, that's worked really well. After having a few carbs during the Christmas season, my wife and I agreed to 4 days. I did a fast right after that, so that the food noise went away really fast for me, and that helped me out tremendously. And it has anytime I've had food noise, if I fast, even 48 hours, it's a tremendous help. Brisby says it's all diet. In your opinion, it's not the organ, it's the body attacking the organ. The question remains why? Diet and lifestyle is Occam's razor. Yeah. And I think part of that has to do with the way our body handles some of the stuff that we're eating. Um, the seed oils are not good for our bodies. The oxalates, the tannins and lectins and stuff like that aren't good for us. But the glyphosate that comes in with the wheat products, it's absolutely terrible for us. I think it's a combination of them all. And when you eliminate them, the body starts healing. Uh, Genetic can only explain a small incidence. Correct. There's not a whole lot of people that are genetically predisposed to having certain issues. John says over time, the addiction to carbs gets better as the dopamine center becomes more sensitive. Yeah. So it is. Bryce says, this is so hard. I really use the tools you learn from Larry and Cassie to heal, and yet healing for them is always just out of reach. And we have to support them. And I agree with you. They have a great community. And they've got some great information, and they've done so much for so many people. Right? You just want to picture that so you can see certain messages as well. Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't mind doing that. Shelba, you got to head out. Have a great day. You two have a great one. Stay strong. Holy cow, it's been another hour and a half almost. Yeah, I got a little counter up here. I don't look at it that often. What I normally look at is it gives me a number of viewers. Now on YouTube it says I have 5 viewers, but on X, which you don't see, I've got another 4 viewers. So I got 9 people, 10 people currently watching now. So people come and go. And I also have a stream going on Rumble, but I have not seen anybody from Rumble on here yet. That's Uncle Willie usually comes in on Rumble. Uh, and Larry and Cassie's the Carnivore Quest. That's Crispy Bacon. That's Uncle Willie on my Rumble stream here. And let's see, Bryce makes it. You mean, didn't they determine that Roundup contributes to cancer? Yes. We still use it. You hate Agra truly. They are slow poisoning us and making bank. They are. And it's not a good thing. We're allowed, so many places are allowed to poison us and get away with it. It's just not right. Brian says AI is killing YouTube. How? Actually, I don't mind some of the AI stuff. I've used AI for some of my stuff for actually having it do the video that I want. It does the research. You put the general information in, and it can do the research for you. It takes a long time to get the video that you want to come out right. You have to tell it what you want and how to do it, but it can be a pain in the ass. But I actually don't mind some of the AI stuff. I've actually used AI for some scripts for stuff that I've done because I suck at writing and I get off track really quick and easy sometimes. Andy says, hit the like button. Yeah, I never think of doing that either. Thank you, Angie. Hit the like button. And Benny says, thanks. He needed the reminder. So did I. I always forget it. I never asked for that. But yeah, right at hour and 27 minutes now. I'm going to have to let you all go. I will be back next Saturday at 10 a.m. So let's see you. And with this year, you don't care for AI, it's a tool. I don't click not interested. You'll engage with it when you want to, not when it's clickbait. Yeah, the clickbait sucks, and there's a lot of that out there. Brian says, I watched a video about how easy it is to steal from somebody else and make a fake AI video that did 1,000 times better than the original, and the content creator gets nothing. Yeah, that part does suck. And it sucks that they're allowed to do that. Well, thanks, Terry. You have a great day. Stay warm and have fun in the snow. And with that, I'm going to end it here. You all have a great day, and we'll see you next week and see you in the streams.